Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Paulette Lynch. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council for Monterey County. And our mission is to improve the quality of life for everyone in Monterey County through the arts. And we are very passionate about the concept of the arts are the answer. And our role is really to make that possible for more and more people everywhere we go. And our role today is to introduce you to some of the people who are so active already in this space. And every month we choose a different theme to focus our attention. Today we're focusing on share our stories, how the arts are the answer to sharing stories with each other about ourselves, about the world, about ideas and more. And we're going to open with Chris Caffrey from the Pink Flamingo Theater, the new theater. And Chris, if I have it right, that's innovative theater in an intimate setting.
Exactly.
So tell us more about your own personal story. This is your project. This is your idea. How did your background really lead you to this wonderful space?
Well, when I was young, I started out in music and was very proficient in it. But once I graduated from high school, my parents at the time didn't believe even then that girls went to college unless they were looking to get married.
Sure.
So I went to work for a very large telecommunications company and spent the next 33 years there in being a mother, raising my daughter, and working in this corporate environment.
Wow.
And I got an opportunity to retire early.
Well, that's nice.
Well, it was either I retired early or I was going to be dead from the stress.
Oh, no, that's a good choice then.
So I opted to retire. And I had started doing some plays around town. I've always been interested in stand-up comedy. And I was, and I wanted to get into producing plays. So what had happened is that I went to audition for a play, and it said, all ages, all types. And I was working with an acting coach at the time.
Okay.
We guessed actually very accurately what role it was going to be that I was going to be auditioning for. And I had it totally down. And I went to the audition, and I felt I did really, really good. And I remembered the director saying one time that he was surprised that nobody ever contacts him after auditions for critiques of what they could have done better or whatever.
Yeah.
So I sent an email, and I said, I'm not asking if I got the role, but I am asking, you know, is there any critique? And he said, no, you did really good. He said, but the cast lends itself to a younger age.
There's the catch.
Yes, there was a catch. So I should have said all ages, unless you are 55 and older, then forget about it. And even then I was still okay until I saw the cast list and saw who would have played my husband.
Yeah.
And it was somebody much older than me.
Oh, my goodness.
So then I kind of went crazy in my head, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Do I get a facelift? And that's when I decided that we really needed, I can't complain about not just the peninsula, but you look at Broadway, you look at Hollywood, about no roles for women. And I thought, then I've got to do that.
That's wonderful.
Somebody's got to do that, so I'm going to do that. And that's where I put my energy in, is now producing plays. If I'm producing it, it has to be written by a woman.
Oh, wonderful. So that's one of the ways that you're unique.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So the theater itself, if somebody comes to me and says, I want to do this play, I'm going to produce it, it's my money, whatever, and they're just running the theater, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if I'm backing it and producing it, that's the number one thing is it has to be written by a woman playwright.
So is that why you were interested in, is the first one called Janka? Is that the
it's actually pronounced Yanka.
Yanka, okay.
It is the one exception that we had, but I felt the story was so powerful. So the story is about a woman who survives a concentration camp, comes to America, and builds a life here. And the person who wrote it, his name's Oscar Spieth, and he's a producer and director for Valley PBS. And the story is about his mother.
Oh.
And his wife actually performs it. Oscar's wife actually performs it.
That must be amazing.
It is. They've performed it all around the world. I was so excited when they contacted me about doing it, and that was the one exception that I made because the story was so powerful, and the performance is so powerful that that we went ahead and I decided to go ahead and produce it.
And tell me about some of the other plays. I know you have other things that happen at the theater, storytelling, comedy nights. Tell us a little more about other plays that you've done that you've been really pleased with or proud of. You've only been around for 3 years, is it?
I produced 3 years. We've had the theater now, the actual theater, a little over a year.
Oh,
so we were doing a lot.
You've done a lot in such a short period of time.
We've done a lot at the Carl Cherry previous to that. Okay. But yeah, we've done a lot in the year with the theater. So some of the plays that we've done, we just finished up with, we called it an intimate evening with 11 women. And it was 3 one-act plays.
And is that, we have some images from that, I think, the women in the plays.
And they were terrific.
That's one of
that was the last of the 3. That's a fantastic. It's very short. It's about 10 minutes long, but it's from a collection of acts called Parallel Lives by Kathy Najimy, who played in the original Sister Act, and Mo Gaffney, who's a comedian. But this one is about it's a therapy session for the Disney moms. It's the mothers, all the mothers that never appear or die in the beginning of all the Disney movies. And they're in this therapy session talking about how awful their life is and how they get killed in the first 10 minutes. And so it was, it's very cute, very funny, and brilliantly written. I mean, it just amazes me that nobody else has ever thought of doing that. It's very funny.
Yeah, very great. And tell us more about some of the other things. So in addition to the plays that you have comedy nights. And how do those come together?
So we do, one of my loves is comedy, and stand-up comedy especially, because it's just so difficult to do. But so on the Monterey Peninsula, there is no open mic night for comedy.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of open mic nights for readings and music, but there was none for just strict comedy. And unfortunately, I've seen somebody try to do comedy at other open mic nights, and it just is such a different crowd. It just doesn't go.
Oh, they can't warm up the crowd and make those connections.
Everybody's kind of more into the music and laid back, and you get a comedian up there saying, "Hey, funny thing happened to me. Wait here." And
wait up. Oh my gosh.
So we do that, and then it's once a month, and people just come early and sign up, and you get 5 to 7 minutes on stage, and it's been very. That's been very rewarding because, one, we sell out. We have sold out almost every month that we've done it. But it's great because it's for comedians who maybe do stand up all the time, but they want to try something new out. We've had people who have never done it in their life get up and do it.
How awesome
and the nice thing is the audience is so supportive. And I really try to build that support because I open up the show and I'll just say, we've got people tonight who have never been on stage, and so we've yet to have somebody get heckled, which is kind of part of being a comedian. But it gives them a good environment to start out with.
Well, that's phenomenal. That's part of that innovative dimension too. I would say you're setting the tone, setting the tone to make people feel welcome, comfortable. This is going to be fun, but it's not going to be it can be kind of really nasty in some of the comedy clubs. You have to have a very, very tough outer layer to do that. My brother's a comedian. He goes all over the place. But he's a tough guy, he can handle it, and I don't know if I ever could. But you're making it possible for a broad range of people to do that.
Right.
And similarly, when you do the storytelling, wow, I was there for one of the recent nights, and I really loved how you set the stage, set the tone, made everybody feel like, we can do this, and brought the audience in. You have a great way of making the audience feel super connected, like we have a stake in everyone doing well, and we get to vote, and we get to do everything, but you lay that all out in the beginning. And I just have to say, big congratulations for making that space happen, holding a space, but not just opening the door, but taking all those additional steps to make it really so engaging and so warm and fun.
It's important. It's important. If people, I want to make it feel like people are coming into my home.
Yeah.
Of course, they're paying admission to come into my home.
But it's very reasonable as well. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, just to make everybody feel comfortable and, and I don't know if we have time to talk about it, but that actually, the storytelling came up. I wanted to do a Moth radio hour.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we do have time to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about
and
that some more.
I had contacted, it's NPR, for people don't know, NPR has this great feature called Moth Radio Hour, where they do it all around the United States, and it's true stories told live.
Right. That's the main thing, right? True,
exactly.
live.
True and live.
And no notes.
And no notes.
No notes.
So I had contacted them to see if we could do like an official one or what it would take to put on. They said they don't have the financing to do it, but I was welcome to do one, and I could call it Moth Inspired.
That's wonderful.
I know. I was really excited about that, and I find sometimes that works in my favor. Sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes people will say, "Moth, what? Huh? What is it?"
But then they may look for it later,
right?
And that's a big deal too.
Right. So I pattern it after the Moth Radio Hour, and it's been fairly successful.
Were there any stories that people told that just blew you away completely? Like you couldn't believe that people actually would be able to tell that story without an ad, and just felt like it came out of nowhere in a way?
There were probably two that I think I remember the most. And one woman told, and I know her, and I know she's also very private. So one that she got up to tell a story was very surprising. But she told this like hideously funny story of when she went to the
I like
prom.
hideously funny.
Well, I mean, when you're going through it, I mean, when you think back and you hear the story and you hear her telling it and you think back to your high school, it would be like the worst story possible. I mean, it was like an arranged date, because I don't think anybody asked her, and she had braces and wound up spilling stuff on her dress. But she told it in such a way that I felt like so many people in the audience could identify with it. And another gentleman, it was a very simple story that he told, and it was that he had saved somebody when he was a kid from drowning.
Oh, wow.
But the interesting thing really wasn't so much that, but how years later this person called him, like once they were way into middle age, to talk about it. Wow. And he said, they were kids, they never thought about it, dragged them out, brought them back, did mouth to mouth, life goes on. But he talked about how he never in his life thought he really had influenced or done anything to change anybody's life. So it's those little stories, I think, that are most impacting.
It makes so much meaning for all of us.
Right.
I think each of us can start to think. There's so many things that, certainly by the time you get to my age, there's so many things you've forgotten about as you just go through the day-to-day and try to get things done.
Right.
And then you hear something like that and you realize, wow, maybe that's not my story, but there are other things that it makes me think about. And maybe I don't need healing from whatever that story was about, but I may have a lot of other things in my life that makes me feel a little bit more centered, grounded, and whatnot. So not everybody is as daring as some of the people that you have in the beginning. Right. But what I remember is that when people come in, you ask them, would you like to pay, or would you like to tell a story? Something like that.
Yeah.
And I just remember my husband just said, yes, I'm here to tell a story. Well, he did not walk in that way.
Right.
He loves storytelling around the house, but he did not walk in planning to do that, but he did, and he had a great experience. So if people want to get involved in your work, what would it take to make that happen?
To get in, like, to the Pink Flamingo, or to get into just what I do wherever?
In the Pink Flamingo, or where, yeah. If somebody's listening to us today and says, I think I'm ready, or that I'm almost ready, or something like that, how do they get started, whether it's the acting or even producing? And some people, I feel like there's so many stories out there that are not being told. And I think completely. I see often there's a story repeated and repeated. It's like, well, what about the stories that people have burning in their hearts that they need to tell? You potentially are providing a vehicle for them to write, to produce, to act, to tell a story. 5 minutes, half an hour, 3 hours.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always looking for new people. I'm always looking for new actresses. So the Disney moms, when I auditioned for it, I specifically said, because it was very short, the lines were very short, I thought this is a perfect opportunity to bring in somebody who maybe has never acted and wanted to,
great.
or hasn't acted in a million years. And I got very lucky and had 2 women call me. Both really had no experience whatsoever, but it got them on stage, and it got them to memorize some lines without being overwhelmed. And so people can contact me either through my website, which is pinkflamingotheater.org, or you can email me at cc.54@live.com, or call me 831-238-2399.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, thank you for bringing that energy, that background, your whole business background, I'm sure, came into play as you were putting all these different things together. It's such a difficult thing to find a space, get it started up, and then get this whole organization off of the ground. So I really appreciate, on behalf of the community, that you're willing to do this wonderful work and open it up to the rest of us to participate in whatever way we dare. So
thank you so much, Paulette. And thank you so much for all you guys do.
Thank you. We're getting there. Thank you.
Thanks.
So this has been my great pleasure to be with Chris Caffrey of the Pink Flamingo Theater. And up next, we're going to be speaking with Professor Angelica Morrow and continue on with our theme, sharing our stories.